Greetings. Welcome to the Internet. You must be new here, so let me show you what the Internet is all about. I present to you 28 seconds of cats being adorable, starting right now.
To episode 14 of the Drama Llamas. I'm Doug Urbanski.
And I'm Stephen Jeffries. Baker's Dozen +1 episodes of the Drama Llamas. Fun fact, I'm actually wearing a camel hair jacket. I feel like a bit of a traitor today. You look like a salty sea dog. Yar. Yar. Today, in Egri, we are going to be discussing several very, very quick chapters. Almost like little mini chapters. Care to elaborate on that? Okay, you blinked. For a second I thought you would, turn to stone or something.
You see,
getting into your sailor act.
Staying on the seas for so long makes a man
unable to decide what a man becomes when he stays out on the seas for too long?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go with that.
The first section we looked at was Experimentation.
Experimentation! In which Egri addresses the idea of rules. How can you have rules and then play within the boundaries of these rules? And I think it's interesting the way that he compares a play to anatomy, the act of living. I guess you can't really call it an act, but he says you can do almost anything with this approach. Experiment to your heart's content. Just as a man can go underwater, fly, live in the Arctic to the tropics, but he cannot live without his heart or lungs, and you cannot write a good play without the basic ingredients. So what do you think about that, Salty Doug?
Egri talks about how Matisse, Gauguin, Picasso experimented with painting. They did not throw away the basic principles of composition, rather they affirmed them. One emphasized color, another form, the third design, but each built on the rock bottom of composition, which is contradiction in lines of color. So essentially, it's experimentation isn't necessarily telling the rules to go screw themselves. It's let's take a look at the rules and let's see ultimately how well they work and stretch them to see how far they work.
Right.
And I think that definitely applies with the more anatomical description.
Yeah, it really does, because it kind of gives you an idea of the things that Egri views as crucial to a play's success and what Egri views as things that can be a little more flexible. And I think it's interesting that Egri differentiates success. Probably shouldn't have even said success, because he differentiates success as a play from success on the stage. I mean, one of the things that we're going to talk about is why are some bad plays successful, as a bit of foreshadowing there. But I do think that he makes that differentiation for a very good reason. You could have some things, 50 Shades of Grey, that sell well, but from the purpose, for the purpose of craft, they're terrible. Unless Gilbert Gottfried is reading it, in which case it's hilarious, because it's Gilbert Gottfried reading 50 Shades of Grey. Right. Not safe for work, but amusing. So I thought that was really, really neat. And that actually kind of plays into the idea of timeliness. Do we write about stuff that is going on today? Like, should we write a play about, I guess 9/11 isn't really recent anymore. It's recent-ish.
It's still in the consciousness.
Yeah. Or, what happened to the embassy, the ambassador over in Libya, the hurricane that is about ready to beat the ever-living snot out of the people on the East Coast. Prayers and best wishes to them. That looks nasty. But yeah, and Egger's response is kind of interesting. He basically says no. a good play is going to be good regardless. I was kind of curious what your thoughts were on that, Doug. Apparently on this show I like asking that.
Hey, you know what was striking me specifically in that section is the question about, I believe the asker asks, I still feel some topics are more timely than others. For instance, the plays of Noel Coward are about useless people who neither add to nor subtract from the mainstream of progress. Is it worthwhile to write of such people? And Egri says yes. Granted, he adds that with the caveat of in better plays. I'm not really familiar with Coward's work, but it sounds like Egri doesn't approve that much of them. But so as long as these characters are still tridimensional and still, can fuel a greater conflict.
Yeah. And that's kind of where Egri, again, does his little broken record act. And I say broken record, that is a negative connotation. It really is a positive thing to go back and show us how this all plugs in, how it all works together. You can experiment, but while experimenting outside of the boundaries, please keep these things in mind.
Maybe replay instead of broken record.
I like that. I like that very much. Replay. Yeah, I mean, and that's really all about, I would say, on Timeliness. It's very short, as is entrances and exits, which basically boil down to the same thing. Ensure your characters are tridimensional, and then the natural flow of character on stage will make a lot more sense. I mean, can you recall ever seeing a play where the things felt forced? Like where people were wandering around awkwardly on the stage or whatever? I can't think of any off the top of my head.
I can't really think of one off the top of my head either.
I mean, when I think of stage and awkward, I think of like those chorus concerts that you go watch because your little sister's in them, where everyone's sitting on the stage and they don't want to be there and you don't want to be there, and it's just uncomfortable for everyone.
I don't have a little sister. I just go to them. The next section we've got is entrances and exits, which, that's interesting. Like, just how it starts off. The question is, can you give a few pointers on doing good entrances and exits? And Egri just goes, tell him to integrate his characters more thoroughly than he has done.
To play with that repeat.
Yeah, it's all about the. Oh God, is that orchestration? Does that have to do with orchestration?
Orchestration, and I think
at this point
also plays into the idea of pivotal characters and unity of opposites too. It ties into several other things. Yeah, it's basically make sure your characters make sense, and this stuff will come together.
Yeah. Entrances and exits. I mean, I feel like there's not really much more to that section than just the idea of.
I mean, I think the section's existence only goes to emphasize the importance of the things Egri's already pointed out.
Right.
By itself, it doesn't do a whole lot. There's not a whole lot of new information, which is why it's so short. And it's the same thing with Chapter 7, to zip forward to why are some bad plays successful.
Why so successful?
Yeah, essentially, Egri just says, the audience was fascinated because of some cultural phenomena that clicked with them at the time. The example being, Coward came right after World War I, and the audience thought his stuff was so witty because it helped sort of numb them. It was only witty in the context of a post-World War setting. So, yeah. But again, then he comes back to that, and it's just like, make sure your characters are good. Don't rush. So, again, it's more of the same. I feel like we're getting to the end, and Egri is really starting to kind of paint with broader strokes to make sure that we're really getting the concepts here, which I can appreciate, honestly. And do you want to take Melodrama? I know that's really difficult.
Are we going to skip Section 7?
Section 7
Why
was,
are some...
We just talked about that.
Did we?
Just talked about that.
Wow. Are you talking about earlier or just now?
Just now. Melodrama.
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 Yeah, Melodrama.
Don't have sucky characters. And make sure your characters make sense, or otherwise you get
Bingo.
Melodrama.